Hey everyone, welcome to my first video of 2025. I hope you all had a great final day of 2024. In today's video, as you would have seen by the title, I'm going to be looking at the 3D universe of the GTA games and ranking all of the islands in them. Now I do just want to say right now at the start that I won't be talking about Liberty City stories or Vice City stories. I would love to cover them, but unfortunately I have no way to play them. So I just want to mention this because people always say in the comments when I cover the games and I don't mention these two, people always get upset. Even if I do mention at the start they won't be in the video, people still bring it up. So please, just letting you all now know that they will not be in the video. I'd love to cover them in the future, but let's get into it. What is the worst island in the 3D universe? In my opinion, the worst island from the 3D universe, excluding the two I mentioned before, is Portland from GTA 3. So this island is the first one that we start off on in the 3D universe, and it's not bad by any means, but to me it's quite easily the weakest out of all the games in this universe. The reason I say that is because it's not too big. Shorside Veil is smaller, but this one feels like there's just less going on. There aren't any big sort of areas that are very well known. It's just a lot of long streets and tall, kind of just bland buildings. It's really just there to start you off in the game, give you missions. There's a lot of the mafia sort of people, which I've discussed in previous videos. On my video about things that players really dislike about GTA 3, I covered how the mafia in this area, after a certain point in the story, they will start shooting you, and it can be quite annoying coming back here. But I'm not really basing this off of that. It's more so based off the aesthetic and its purpose in the game. It works well enough at the start of the game. It's a pretty good island to start off on, but I don't think it offers all that much in terms of the gameplay, especially because in especially GTA 3, there isn't all that much to do aside from just blowing things up and doing missions generally. So I think that this island serves its purpose pretty well as the first one in the 3D universe, but ultimately I do still think it's the weakest because it doesn't offer you that much gameplay wise, and it can be a bit annoying returning to it. It feels like just a very simple island to start you off in GTA 3. So next up I have the Mainland from GTA Vice City. I don't know if that's the official name for it, but that's what pops up when you actually drive into that area, so I'm just guessing that is what it is called. I was also considering, adding in Prawn Island and Starfish Island from Vice City, but because they are such small little islands, I didn't really want to include them. They would obviously have to be last because they are so small, but I don't really count them as full islands like I do with the rest of them in this video. But Mainland, why is it here? To me, it's easily the weakest of the two islands in Vice City. It has some very bland sort of buildings. Like, there's a lot of gang stuff going on, which is fine, but as I said before, I'm mainly talking about the aesthetic, and it's just a lot of white brown buildings that feel kind of unfinished. Like on the first island there's always neon lights or windows, like little things that make buildings look like people have actually been in them. This island makes it look like half of it has just been abandoned for years. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but still it makes it a little bit boring. It does offer a bit more gameplay wise than GTA 3, because in this island it's the second one you unlock, where you unlock most of your assets, where you can start making money. There's a decent amount of stunt jumps and stuff on this island as well. You have a pretty big airport and the military base. It offers you a lot of gameplay opportunities, but in terms of just the overall aesthetic, I feel it's definitely the weakest in GTA Vice City. Next up I have Shorside Veil from GTA 3. This island I actually really like, probably more than most people would. As I said before, the first island is bigger than this one, but to me, this one's just a lot more fun to drive around in. The aesthetic of GTA 3 is quite dark, so you're not really going to have a bright area in the game. But I like how the roads are sort of formatted. Like, there's a lot of windy sort of roads. There's a lot of roads that don't really feel like roads, like dirt paths and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of roads that sort of like dip and have cool little turns that I don't really think are in any other GTA game, aside from maybe San Andreas a little bit. But the roads are just really nice. I like the massive dam in the middle of this island is really cool. The airport as well. There's a lot of really big areas in this game, but you also have like residential sort of areas. Probably the biggest residential area of the 3D universe. I'm probably wrong about that, but it sort of feels like it up in this area. It feels like this whole island is basically just a residential area with billboards and basically the airport, and that's really it. But again, I can't put it that high because there isn't that much to do. It's just fun to drive around in, and there aren't really that many missions on this island because it's the last one that you unlock. but I think it is a pretty cool island, but it can be hard to navigate around sometimes. The definitive edition definitely helps out with the marker on your map so you can figure out which road to take. Before, I'm pretty sure it would have been a bit difficult, but I do think it's better than the mainland from Vice City because it feels like more love was put into creating this island. So now we have our first island from San Andreas, and I know a lot of people might disagree with me here, but I've put San Fiero. This to me is probably the weakest out of the 3 islands in that game, and I do have a couple of reasons for that. I think that this island is a very fun one to drive around in, and it's very cool. It's a really good feeling when you unlock the island. To me, the reason why it just isn't as good as the other 2, not saying it is bad at all, I still would give it like a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good, but to me, it's just the least interesting. There's a lot of unique gameplay sort of things here. I really like the sort of like trains that go in between the roads sort of. I don't think that's in any other GTA game. It's not necessarily unique because it's in other games, but I really like that. I think that's a fun little addition. I feel like the color of the road always looks a lot darker on this island just because it's always very gloomy in this area, and that could be why I don't like it as much. It sort of reminds me of Liberty City a little bit. It sort of feels like GTA 3, this island, sometimes, depending on the weather and the time of day. You do have some cool businesses you can buy here, but that is cool. I really do appreciate that, and I really like the long bridge that connects it to Las Venturas, but ultimately I just don't think it is the best of the islands, especially in San Andreas. It's probably the weakest because it does offer you a decent amount of assets and stuff to buy, but the same can be said about every other island in that game, so I think it's probably the weakest because it just doesn't have the highs that the other 2 islands have in the game. So now we're taking a look at our first island from San Andreas, which is Los Santos. This island is pretty good, and it is also pretty big. I think I read somewhere that it's like the size of the GTA 3 and Vice City whole of their maps combined. I might be misremembering, but it was similar to a stat like that, which is pretty crazy. This is a really big map, and it is definitely weird driving around on this map after playing GTA 5 for so many years. You can sort of see the similarities, which of course they're both based off real life Los Angeles, so there are going to be similarities of course, but it was just sort of cool sort of seeing the differences between an older game and a much newer game. At least, you know, at the time GTA 5 is like 10 years old now, but it's still sort of a weird thing to see. And I think that the city is still definitely the biggest part of this area. That's where most people are going to be spending their time, but there are still small little towns and stuff which GTA 5 didn't really include, unfortunately. So I think that was definitely a sort of unique feel, because in other GTA games, especially in the 3D universe, you have like your main islands, and then there's sort of like a sort of theme like Vice City. It's basically all just a city. Same really with GTA 3, but in this game we have the city, and then we have like these more green sort of areas with small little towns, which I really appreciated because, as I said, GTA 5 didn't really have those. But either way, I think that it's a really cool way to start off the game on this island. As I said, it's pretty big. There's a decent amount to do, especially as you progress through the story and you come back here. There's more jobs and stuff that you can do. You can start earning more money. I think that the gangs and stuff is a pretty cool concept. It works the best in this game out of the 3, in my opinion. They're the least annoying. Overall, the whole aesthetic, like the sky and everything, always looks really warm and nice. But I really appreciate this island. I just think that there is one in the game that's just a little bit better. So for the last island from GTA 3, I have Staunton Island. I don't have too much to say about this island. It's the same as the other 2 in the game. It's pretty gloomy and all that stuff based on the weather. But I really like the tall buildings and the bright lights that you can find in the city. It is just the best island in the game, in my opinion. Some people think it's boring, and I definitely can understand that. But to me, GTA 3's map as a whole, when you compare it to the rest of the series, it is pretty boring. There isn't all that much to do, but that really comes down to the gameplay, not the map itself. But the dark aesthetic definitely doesn't really help that. I think that this island is probably like a solid 7. There are cool things to do. There are cool little locations and like bendy sort of roads, which I really like for some reason. But I don't have too much to say, really. I just like the tall buildings. It's really cool when you get up on a mountain and you can see all the tall buildings and all the the stadium is really cool as well. We can't go into it for some reason, but still, it's really cool, and I appreciate the effort they put into it. But there are a couple that are better. Coming in at the second place, I have the first island that we play on in Vice City. Unfortunately, I can't find the actual name for it. I've looked around, I can't actually find it. Everyone just sort of calls it the first island or East Vice City. So I'm not really sure what to call it. I'll just call it the first island in this video. And this is probably my favorite, but I wanted to be a bit more fair and look at what I think most people's favorite island is probably in these games. Vice City, as I said, is probably my favorite, but as a game as a whole, really. But this island is probably, it's definitely up there. And to me, you guys will notice with this at number one, I just love when GTA makes islands with just bright lights, like neon lights, long roads where you can just drive along and, you know, have the lights like bathing all over your car. That's a really weird word to use, bathing over your car. Anyways, it's just a very cool aesthetic for GTA, I think, where you have a sports car and, you know, you're just driving in all these lights. It always looks awesome. This, to me, is probably, as I said, the best GTA island, but it can't be first because it's pretty small. I find it weird, as I've said in previous videos, that this was the first island when it is better than the second. Usually it's the other way around, like the last one you unlock is usually the best, but in Vice City it was sort of the other way around. I think it is pretty small though. When you compare it to the second island, it is smaller, but there's a decent amount of things to do. There's only a couple of assets here. This one is the best in my opinion because it has the bigger, like the better locations in the series, and it's just very iconic, really, especially when you have the original version and you have certain songs on the radio. It just works really well, but the overall aesthetic is the best. But as you guys would know, there is one left, and that has to be Las Venturas. This is just a really cool area. You have like this deserty area, but then you have this city area with the casinos and stuff, obviously sort of based on Las Vegas. It's super cool. I love the lights and all the roads and stuff. Similar to the first island in Vice City, I just love all the neon lights and the long roads. But this one definitely feels like the fan favorite of the 3D universe. It's the last one you unlock, and it definitely feels worth it when you unlock it because all the cars are pretty decent up until this point, but this one definitely has the best cars in my opinion. There's not too much to say. Ultimately, it just offers a lot more variety. Again, you have businesses and stuff that you can buy up here. There's probably just the most to do on this island out of the whole 3D universe, aside from maybe Los Santos, but this one might have more, and you can definitely spend more time on this island. So let me know what you guys think in the comments of my ranking. How would you rank them? Please don't be upset if one of your favorites was last. I don't think any of them are bad. I was just sort of going off what I think and just the general sort of opinion I was seeing online. But consider subscribing for more GTA videos, whether that's rankings or discussions. I'm open to taking any suggestions from you all. But I hope you'll have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next GTA video. Thanks everyone.